classic Star Wars Battlefront II, published by, I think it was EA back in the day, but done by Pandemic Studios, a studio that is unfortunately gone by the wayside. They had Mercenaries, also I believe it was, I forget the war sim, full Spectrum Warrior, I think it was, which was also used by the U.S. Army as a simulator back in the day. And I dusted this off simply because they recently released the HD collection with Battlefronts 1 and 2 this week. So it would be good to kind of go back and relive some of that nostalgia of the original trilogy. In this case, well, I didn't say the prequel trilogy. In this case, with Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, actually, I've had this game for a while. I've never played it until now. There's so many games that I've gotten through Xbox Live Gold and whatnot over the years that I literally haven't played. And this is one that I figured, why not dust it off and see how it works. So as you see here, you're starting off as obviously one of the clone troopers, and it's definitely an interesting setup. I really enjoy it, as well as far as going back into that nostalgia of the Clone Wars, and even with the banter that you're going to hear with regards to how the clones, the soldiers, talk to each other as far as their training and how this wasn't like their training. It's very interesting. I know we have things like the Bad Batch now, and there are other things as far as multimedia that sort of explore the troopers themselves. But when this came out, there wasn't a lot that really gave them their personality, a certain person. I think the Clone Wars cartoon might have been out around then. I'm not entirely sure, but it still wasn't a lot of media that really showed the troopers as to being their own individuals like that. And it's refreshing seeing this and hearing this, more importantly, and hearing the distinctiveness of each one of them. Now, I have to say, getting in, this was very smooth, very easy as far as controls were concerned. My only issue, even with throughout this tutorial section, is I always forget how the black and white buttons from the original Xbox controller are now repurposed for the modern controllers. Other than that, you'll see some waiting, I'm trying to figure out what to do with regards to these buttons are concerned. The aiming is pretty good. I say this, it's interesting. The Xbox era, the PlayStation 2 era, there are a lot of games that, while they don't look as pretty as some of the stuff that's come out now, really hold up well graphically. And I think a lot of that graphical sort of holding up is attributed to the gameplay. Like, this gameplay was buttery smooth getting in here. And I remember playing the current iteration of Star Wars Battlefront. I forget if it was 1 or 2, and I just wasn't feeling it at all. And nothing wrong with the game per se. It just, the way it was structured, it just wasn't something that I wanted to get into. This so far is something that, especially getting into the tutorial section, it's very easy to understand. And especially as you go further on in what you're going to see with regards to swapping out the different clone classes, I thought that was pretty cool as well. Unfortunately, some of my footage got lost in this one, so you don't see me with the jet trooper with the jetpack, which is really fun. It's something about jetpack. You unleash your inner Rocketeer, if you remember that movie. And it's really cool. It's almost like, yeah, I'm Iron Man or what have you with the jetpack and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. And it was very easy to use as well, which I was surprised with. Now, I know we've had jetpacks in other games since then, but this game is what, 2003-ish? So this is like a 20-year-old game, give or take. The fact that the controls are so fluid with it really speaks to how well the game is and why it was so regarded, or so highly regarded, that they start to re-release it as a HD collection. I will say, though, some of the objectives took me a second, but again, a lot of that was because of trying to figure out which buttons did what and how to swap through. Like I didn't read any manuals, you know. We don't read no manuals over here. We just kind of hop right into everything and try to figure out as we go. And again, this is a tutorial, so it's designed for you to start to figure these things out. Again, for tutorial section, it's very barren, but I do like it and I understand why it's set here, when it takes place within the Star Wars universe and the Clone Wars. Yeah, it is very drab. It's very monocolor as far as the rockiness and the rocks. But now here we're going to, I'm trying to figure out how to get inside so I can switch my classes of clone troopers. It's very simple. Got a big gun. So, and I think this section here, figuring out this objective, because I thought maybe I was supposed to shoot these droids, which doesn't make sense, but I didn't realize that you can swap out your weapons, and you'll see that here. And that gun into itself is pretty powerful also. A similar gun is on the Jet Trooper, and well, during my playthrough of that initially, I kept blowing myself away because I wasn't giving myself any kind of distance when it came to firing that weapon. You see, I'm firing it here, thinking that, oh, if I fire one, it'll fix it. That makes total sense, right? So now I'm figuring out the switch to my auxiliary weapon. At least I'm trying to here. It took me a minute, y'all. I'm jumping. I'm figuring it out. I'm swapping through. Up. I figured it out. Swapping it through. And we're about to repair this droid. There we go. Just like that. Now I'm trying to get to the second one. Alright, second one is done. Now I have to go back and switch. So now we're going to get into the AT-AT. Do I not have to switch? No, I'm not switching. I'm just getting into the AT-AT. Now, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised how, once I get inside, you see it took me a second to figure it out with the prompts to get inside the vehicle. All right, now I'm in. I was surprised how easy the vehicle moved, and that was probably one of my biggest concerns when you get into larger vehicles like this in these sort of games. You're always worried about how easy it is really to control and move, as well as to fire and everything. If you played a game like this in the past 20 years or so, this plays just like anything you have played. And I like the slow walking feeling that you get. I don't remember if there was any sort of haptic feedback with the joystick. I want to say I think there was, which gave an immersiveness to being inside the AT-AT as well. I will say the only issue I had with this is it's hard to aim, and there may be an aim lock that I wasn't really aware of, but it's hard to aim, and it's hard to really figure out where you are as far as like your sights are concerned. Now you can zoom in like this, which I figured out, but even with the troopers, it was difficult at times. One, because of the color palette, some of the things do kind of blend in this stage. But again, this is 2003 graphics, so what do you expect? But overall, I did like the shooting once I got the hang of it. As you see, it didn't take me that long to really get the hang of it. Now I'm out, and I am about to go and switch classes again. I think I'm about to switch classes again. Oh, I am, but we're about to end this bad boy before we get there, and I will see you another time.